And with every running journey, there's the person behind it that didn't even know the sport existed. Hi and welcome, my name is Kobe Walker and this is how I got into running, track, cross country and everything else that comes with it. Newsflash, I'm currently in America as a D1 runner at Mizzou. If you told my 10-year-old self that, I probably would have laughed in your face and then asked, do people actually run by choice? Let's go right back to the start. So my whole entire life, I've loved sport. It's a really big part of my family. My mum played professional netball, my dad and my uncles all played professional rugby league in the NRL. My cousin currently plays in the NRL, and then I have a bunch of cousins who also love sport and brothers that are quite talented as well. So ever since I was young, whether it's we go to the park, we go to the beach, you're always chucking around a footy, playing tag, you know. I dabbled in heaps of different sports, touch footy, netball, swimming, dancing, but my main priority and my love was netball. Once mum and dad both finished playing professionally, they coached heaps, and they still do. So I was always around training and practice, and I spent a lot of time just sitting there and watching. Naturally, as a young girl, I gravitated towards netball. I feel like nowadays we're really lucky that there's like heaps of different avenues for like women in sport, but that was the main thing, especially in Australia, that like young girls would do. So when I was 5 years old and I finally got to sign up and play my first game, I was like, yeah, this is me on the grass courts, because like it wasn't until you're like 12 that you're allowed to like go play on the hard courts. I don't know. And that was my passion. I lived and breathed netball. I wanted to play for Australia. That was my main goal. I wanted to be a diamond. I definitely worked really hard and I made a couple of state teams when I was younger in netball, and like the region and the district and you know, all those. I definitely had my fair share of setbacks when I played netball. I was in the Division 1 rep team, and then the following year I got dropped to Division 2, and then I finally made the Division 1 team again the following year and didn't play the whole state carnival. So that was probably the roughest 4 days of my netball career ever. I definitely didn't let it stop me, but I would be lying if I said it didn't knock the wind out of my sails a little bit. Though netball gave me the opportunity to get a scholarship to my high school, which was Moreton Bay College, which essentially changed my life. For grade 7 and grade 8, which I was, like 12 and 13, netball still the priority. I was doing it heaps at school. And then this little thing called COVID came around and just cancelled everything. We couldn't go in a 10-kilometer radius from our house. You were just training by yourself. There was no games. There was nothing. So I was like, you know what? I'll stay fit. I'll go for a run with my mum. My mum's very fit. She would whoop me. Actually, my grandma, my 60-year-old grandma, beat me in a park run the first time I did it, so this is just painting the picture of running was not my thing. Anyways, so we moved that along and I kept doing like 1 or 2 jogs here with mum, and I was like, this low-key isn't too bad. I started seeing progress, like I could run a 5K faster. Oh, one thing I will never forget, ever, was I ran 10K with my mum for the first time. It was 12 p.m. in the day. It was 35 degrees Celsius, so hot. It probably took me an hour, so like that's 6-minute K pace, which is great. Like that was great for me back then, but just, you know, putting it into perspective. Now I run like a 16:35K, which is 3:18K pace. So I remember getting 4K in and being like, this is how I die. Like, this is the end. I'm not even being dramatic. Oh man, that was the furthest I'd ever run. But then when I finished, I felt so accomplished, and I think I fell in love with that feeling. I owe a lot to my mum, because even though my coaches and my like gym coach, my track coach wrote the plans and got me results and got me fit, mum was my solid running buddy for a good while. And on that, both my parents instilled the values that I have in myself. I've never seen people that work harder and chase their dreams just as hard as both my mum and dad. They have 100% taught me what it means to go after something that you believe in. So with all this newfound fitness, you know, we've been out of school, like in lockdown for like 3 months. We had our inter-school, high school cross country. So it's just, you know, everyone in your grade, they race and we see, and you just like get points for your house. I won. I get a medal, like this is cool. And my high school cross country coach then was like, oh, do you want to come and train with our squad? I remember when he said this, I couldn't sleep. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be like a professional. So I went along and I remember we did 1Ks. We did 1K efforts and I loved it. It was so fun. At this point, I was about 15 and I'm still playing netball. But I think the running kind of started to make me realize, oh, this is weird. Like nothing's ever come close to my love for netball. Why do I kind of enjoy this more? But I just continued to play both for the rest of the year until I turned about 16 and I went fully into running. I just did track and cross country. I didn't play any other sports. I do think it's really important that when you're young though, that you do diversify and play heaps of different things. It's good for the bones and it also keeps things interesting. You don't want to specialize too early. But hear me out, in high school, our head of sport would just make anyone that was able do our QG Triple SA cross country, which is like all the big girls schools in my region, we would all race in like the middle of May, and you just get points for your school. So the first year I did it in grade 7, I got 96. And if we just flash forward to last year, which was 2024, I actually won. I'm jumping back to the timeline. So about mid-2022, I did my first ever track race. It was a 1500, I remember. It was in Brisbane, Queensland, at Cusack, which is where the Olympics in 2032 is going to be held. And I remember walking up, I got to the top of the stadium with my mum. I bawled my eyes out and I was like, I'm not doing it. So we walked straight back down the stairs and we got back to the car and she was like, okay, I want you to take 3 deep breaths. If you don't want to do it, we can leave. But why don't you just give it a go? Regathered myself and we got there. Anyways, I remember I ran in running shoes, like joggers, no spikes. For a bit of perspective, like this is what you race in. It has spikes in the bottom so you can like leverage off the track. I raced in like joggers, like heavy shoes, you know? No spikes. I think it was like states and I maybe got like 10th. I was stoked. And that's kind of the start. Ooh. I really love this thing. I then made nationals track that same year and national cross country, and then again the following year and the year after that and the year after that as well. And in 2023 I won my first ever national medal in the 3K, so I got a silver medal. That still is one of the best days ever. Like that was so awesome. Which, cut to the chase, it's kind of how I ended up here in America, a million miles away from my family. It is very common in Australia that the progression is for track and field, you come to America just to kind of bridge that gap between under 20s and opens, as this program, we don't really have a college system, or we don't have a college system like this in Australia. So I didn't really know if I wanted to go or if I wanted to stay home and kind of train out of there as I had been for the whole time I've been running. I will say I ebbed and flowed heaps, a lot actually. There was times where I was like, nope, I don't want to go. Then I was like, yes, I do. No, I don't. And I just kept going back and forth because my setup at home was working really well. Obviously, I'd got results off it. My coach was awesome. My team, my support network, my family, like everyone. I have nothing to fault. That setup worked really well. But, you know, I was like, I have nothing to lose. This is an opportunity that people would die for and I'd be silly not to take it. A lot of people do ask, like, how do you go to college? How do I go to college? This and that. You can go through an agency, which I know a lot of people do. They kind of just like help you mediate and talk to different schools. But I was lucky enough with the times that I had and the results that I had that I got recruited by colleges. So how it kind of works is you talk with them back and forth. You can go on official visits as well. So I actually came to Mizzou last year in 2024 in September to like get a tour of the college and see what it looks like and everything like that. After I spoke to Lev, who is my coach here, and the other coaching staff, Duca and Tanner, I knew that this was the place that I wanted to be. And I have to say, like thus far, it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. Just the setup is incredible. The facilities, the culture, what we have access to and the training that we get is second to none. So I never thought I'd say it, but running has changed my life. Though COVID really affected people heavily and it was terrible, the silver lining in it was that it's created an opportunity I never ever thought was possible. If there's something you want to do, go after it. If it's music, if it's art, if it's business, if it's school, if it's athletics, whatever it is, give it a crack. You have nothing to lose. Some of my most favorite races were Bridge to Brisbane. That was awesome. I won that in 2023, I think it was. The Open National 3000 meter in Australia, so cool. I raced against Jess Hull. Jess Hull's like my absolute idol. She got a silver medal at the Olympics last year. A recent race I just did in Raleigh was awesome, in North Carolina, 5K. My first ever national cross country at Oakbank. That was such a good trip with my dad. I've had my fair share of fourths. I probably had 5 nationals where I've got fourths. And like, yes, I know that's fourth in the country, but it's so frustrating because you're so close to the podium. Another thing I will mention is that in this, I've obviously said a lot of the highlights. And as you know, sport is not like that. It is like doo-doo, then down, 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 and then you have the up, and then you come down. So no, it has not been all sunshine and rainbow, but very grateful. One, for myself, I am, and I'd like to think I'm quite a strong-minded person, but also the people in my corner. When you have those moments where you're questioning everything you're doing and the hours and the Ks and the trainings that you put in, week out, you begin to wonder sometimes when you don't get results if it's even worth it. Those highs outweigh 10 bajillion of the lows. And it's all about consistency. You just got to keep at it. We're not all going to peak at the same time, but if you want it bad enough, it will happen. And I'm far from reaching what I want to reach in this sport, but I know that what I've done so far and been able to do so far hasn't just been served to me on a silver platter. It never will be. Nothing does that in life. That's just that would be too easy. One of the biggest things, if you're a parent watching this, like coming from a child's perspective, is my mum and dad never wanted it and have never wanted it more than I have. They don't try to live through me or put their dreams on me and have these expectations. Whenever I get in the car after a race, or whether that was a game when I was playing netball, they always just say, did you try your best? And if I try my best, that's all I have. I've never once felt that pressure from them to perform or to be this person that I'm not. And I think that is a main reason as to why I enjoy what I'm doing so much and why I'm so hungry to reach the goals that I have. Now, as a D1 athlete, I'm here chasing my dreams so that I can represent Australia. It's not in the sport that I thought it would be in maybe 10 years ago. This was a really fun video to make because it just reminded me as to why I started the sport in the first place and how much joy comes with it. And if you're having fun in the sport that you do, you'll do well. You'll go far. Thank you for watching if you got this far, and I'd love if you could subscribe and follow along with the rest of the journey. And running isn't the only thing I do. It doesn't make up my whole identity, but it is a massive part of my life, so I thought I'd love to share. Bye!